Welcome back to the Barbecue Lab. I'm David Gafford, and today I can't wait to show you the outdoor oven that we've been testing for the last 8 months. Pizze is in the name, but it's not just pizzas that we're covering today. Stay tuned. Today we're taking an in-depth look at the Alfa Pizze outdoor oven. Now some will call this a pizza oven, and that's true. Others would call this an outdoor oven, and that's also true. It can cook all kinds of things and it's located outdoors, so let's talk about what this cooking appliance is all about, shall we? We took delivery of the Alfa Pizze in October of 2021 and promptly called most of the guys we knew to schedule a time to get it out of the box and installed in the outdoor kitchen. It's probably no surprise to anyone that the oven comes on a pallet and shipped in a semi-truck, and that you'll need a lift gate during delivery. We had 2 pallets delivered since we picked up the Alfa 130 centimeter multifunctional base to set the oven on. Now the base had a pallet to itself, so things weren't stacked on top of it, which meant that the top was in pristine condition when we got it open. Now this isn't a review of the base, but I'll just say that this thing is incredibly solid. It was an easy assembly and it holds the weight of the oven without seeming to care, which is exactly what we were hoping for. Unboxing the Alfa 4, I had a helper in my son Ethan, and most of the pieces of the oven come stored inside the oven when it ships. I couldn't believe that the entire exhaust stack fit inside the oven, but it did. So if that tells you anything, it's that the inside of this oven is massive. Unboxing the oven took about 5 minutes, and most of that time was simply spent looking over each piece to figure out what it was. In order to move the oven from the garage to the outdoor kitchen, we took everything out, including the fire bricks that make up the floor of the oven, and that lightened the load enough that we could pick the oven up and move it with 5 to 6 guys. Yes, I said that right. 5 guys is what it took us to move this oven, with another to help us set it in place. So a note to those who are thinking about making a purchase: invite many friends over with the promise of future pizza. I learned after the fact that we could have also taken out the Gasbeton layer as well, which would have made things considerably lighter. So let's start with the specifications on this unit. The assembled dimensions of this oven is a depth of 38 inches, a width of 38.5 inches, and a height of 26.5 inches without the exhaust stack. With the exhaust stack, the height of the unit is 47.5 inches. Now the oven weighs 264 pounds without the base, and you can feel every pound of that when you go to move it around. The opening of the oven measures 26.5 inches wide by 8.5 inches high, so fitting cast iron pans inside for sourdough bowl breads and pot roasts, potatoes, and the works inside a cast iron deep skillet and lid works perfectly. Now there's enough height to do the things that we can't on smaller outdoor ovens, and that is so much of the fun that we've had. When it comes to the build quality of the Alfa Pizze, I don't think I can say enough good things about it. This is an incredibly well built and thought through oven. First off, I just flat out love the look of it. When I look at this oven, it's sleek, it's smooth with rounded edges all over, and it just says refinement to me when I see it. I love how the stainless steel on the front shelf is bent with a rounded edge instead of a sharp 90-degree angle bend. It's the small touches like that that I find to be some of the most appealing. Now another aspect I think about quite often is how the exhaust is handled with this oven. If you look at the top of the oven, you'll see that there's a flue system in place that basically forces the heat to radiate throughout the oven before it exits. Now Alfa calls this their Heat Genius technology. Instead of just a port in the top of the oven, there's a heat baffle plate that the heat and exhaust runs into before it exits, allowing the oven to retain more heat longer. Now I'll put up a diagram from the Alfa website that illustrates this more clearly than I can get with my video camera, but this is one of the build quality elements that I really enjoy. Now, another point I want to touch on is the exterior temperature of the oven when it's running during a cook. I run this oven between 800 and 1000 degrees Fahrenheit when I'm cooking pizzas, and I can still put my hand on the outside of this oven when it's running that hot. Let's also talk about the Gasbeton lining under the fire bricks. This is a concrete thermal lining that makes up the floor of the oven. Now, I haven't gotten under this layer, but I assume that the oven is stainless steel bottom, Gasbeton thermal lining, and then the heat keeper fire brick to give us the base that we cook on. I don't understand all of the science that goes into this, but what I can say is that this floor retains heat like no other pizza oven I've worked with to date, and I've reviewed a fair share of pizza ovens. Now, the top of the oven is insulated as well, and Alfa calls this their double down ceramic super wool insulation. Now, what I noticed from this is that the outside of the oven isn't nearly as hot as others I've reviewed, and the recovery time between pizzas is almost non-existent. I can launch pizzas inside the four Pizze as fast as I can make them without any wait time for oven recovery. Now, I could talk all day about the details of this unit, but there's really no better way to show you what it's all about than lighting it up and showing it in action. Let's start with how I light a fire in the Alfa 4 Pizze. I like to use the log cabin method to light my fires. I start by laying 2 wood splits about the size of my forearm directly on the bricks in the center of the oven. I'll lay 2 more splits the opposite direction of the first 2, creating a log cabin like I used to out of Lincoln logs when I was a kid. 3 to 4 layers is about as high as I go, and then I will either use the grill gun, which is a propane-powered torch, to get things going, or I'll use my Loof Lighter X with a bit of kindling right in the front, or if I'm in no rush, I'll just put a tumbleweed fire starter underneath the wood on the second row of the cabin, light it, and go about assembling the food that I'm about to cook. Now, if you want any more information about those fire starting devices, we have reviews out all across the channel. I'll make sure I put them in the description below if you're interested in finding new ways to start your fires. Now, for me, the whole point of starting the fire in the middle of the oven is to warm up the bricks where I'll be cooking. I want the bricks in the center and on the right to be very hot when I move the wood over to the left side of the oven to give myself maximum room for food. I use the Alfa Toolset with this oven, and if you haven't seen this, I'll be showing you the different pieces of the set as we progress through the stages of oven use. I use the rake first to push all of my coals and partially burned wood splits to the left side of the oven to get things started. And after everything is moved to the left side, I'll use the copper brush to sweep the floor of any ash or remaining embers that I don't want to get into my food. Once the bricks are clean, it's time to cook, and in order to keep the fire running between 700 and 800 degrees, I'll add a new split to the fire about every 5 minutes to keep it hot. I find that I can wait 10 minutes between splits of wood, but I'll see a dip in temperature below 700 after 10 minutes, and I find that 5 to 7 minutes is a good marker for me of when to add a small split to keep the temperature right where I want it. A little trick that I picked up along the way is to use the turning peel to place the wood on the coals instead of sticking my hand in the oven. Even with a glove on, it's hot inside, so letting the turning peel place the wood is just the way to go. I'll just set the wood on the brick, lift it up with the turning peel, and place it directly on the coals. Now, to know when the oven is ready to cook a pizza, I use the ThermoWorks infrared thermometer to check the floor temperature where I'm planning on cooking. If you're interested in that thermometer, I'll put a link in the description below as well, and we love it to understand what our temperatures are running on the brick. I just shoot the laser right at the floor, and as long as I'm seeing 500 degrees or higher, I know that I can launch a pizza and the bottom crust will cook through. Now, something worth noting here is that there are all kinds of pizza dough recipes, and they all need different temperatures when they cook. Most of what you'll see us cook in this review is Neapolitan style pizza, which is a 60 to 90 second cook at 700 degrees or higher, and that's it. Other styles of pizza need lower temperatures and more time, and this oven can do all of those. When it comes to pizza dough, though, my current favorite is a sourdough pizza dough that we make here at the lab using a starter that we keep in the fridge. Now, if you want that recipe, let me know in the comments down below, and if we get enough people interested, we'll film a video on it and post it to the channel. We mix our dough on the Famag IM8 spiral dough mixer, and we have a review of that unit coming to the channel soon as well. The spiral mixer allows us to mix dough longer without increasing the temperature of the dough, and that has made for easier and more delicious homemade pizza dough. Once the dough is made and proofed, I'll stretch out the pizza dough using semolina flour on a baking mat right out in the outdoor kitchen counter and top the pizza with everything from margarita style to all the meats, with Ethan loves the most. Addison is more of a mushroom girl, and Melissa goes for the brisket pizza whenever she has the chance, and that's one of the best ways I know of to use leftover brisket. To get a clean launch into the oven, I make sure to dust the peel with semolina flour before I put the dough on the peel, and then it's just an easy slide off into the oven. As soon as the edge of the pizza hits the hot bricks, I can just pull out the peel and the pizza is perfectly positioned and ready for a 60-second bake. Now I find that I need to rotate the pizza about every 15 to 20 seconds to make sure that all sides of the crust cook evenly, and it's such a fast cook that there's not much time to walk away when you're cooking in the 750 to 800 degree range. So here's a tip. If you ever get to the point where the bottom of your pizza is done and the top isn't as browned as you'd like, just lift your pizza on the peel up to the top of the oven and it will brown very quickly. Just a couple of seconds up there and you'll be set to go. If you want a firmer crust, no matter the style of pizza you're making, if you put too much sauce on the dough, it makes it harder for any oven to fully cook the crust on a fast cook. We learned that on our first few cooks with friends who like to go super heavy on the pizza sauce. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's not just pizzas that we cook on this oven. We've cooked naan bread for wraps, and those are amazing. Dinners are easy with this oven if you're into cast iron cooking. We will take one of our cast iron pans and put it in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes when the fire is heating up, and that pan will be screaming hot to cook with. Marinated chicken breasts or thighs are a go-to for us, and we'll just throw the chicken in the pan, slide it into the oven, and let it get seared on both the top and the bottom. The bottom will crust from the cast iron, and the top will sear just from the flames in the oven. Foccacia is another family favorite when it's Italian night at the house. If we're having lasagna or spaghetti, Melissa has been known to put together a focaccia to go with dinner, and we'll cook it in the Alfa. As the fire dies down and you're getting to the point where it's more coals than wood firing the oven, you can cook in the four Pizze just like you would with your indoor oven. Now, cookies are a favorite use of the oven when it's cooling down, and our guests love it. We often tell our guests when they're coming over to bring their favorite cookie dough, and we'll just put a piece of parchment paper on a half sheet pan and bake the cookies in the oven with the door on like we would inside. I find that there's a little more wood-fired flavor at lower temperatures since the wood has a chance to smoke a little more instead of the raging inferno that's happening when you're running over 800 degrees. We've cooked pot roasts in the oven using our cast iron cookware with a lid, and I would be remiss if I failed to mention that it's not just Neapolitan pizzas that we make in the four Pizze. One of our favorite pizzas is the Detroit-style pizza, since we lived up in Detroit for almost 4 years at one point. We use the Lloyd pans, which I'll link in the description below for you, and they are just amazing at getting the crispy edges that Detroit-style pizzas are known for. Now, something that we haven't done yet, but we have friends that have, was purchase the wood rack accessory and use it to burn charcoal for lower temperature cooks. I've also seen friends use a fire brick as a diverter set on one side to tame the direct heat with much success. Cleaning the oven after use is pretty easy. I've gotten into the habit of spreading out the coals after each cook to cover the entire oven floor. It allows the coals to burn off anything that might have gotten stuck on the bricks during cooking. The next day, I'll use the brush to move all of the ash and coals to one side of the oven and use the shovel to remove the ash to prep the oven for the next cook. Oftentimes, I'll also go ahead and just set up my log cabin of wood so that it's just taking off the front door and lighting it up when I'm ready. It makes sure that I have dry firewood to start the oven every time. The only other cleaning that I've had to do with the Alfa is cleaning off the soot that will accumulate after many cooks above the oven door. We talked about how the flue system forces air towards the front door and out through a baffle plate, but that means that when you really have a roaring fire going, you can get soot that will accumulate above the door on the oven. About every 10 cooks, I'll take some liquid Barkeeper's Friend, apply it to a microfiber cloth, and just wipe in small circles. The soot comes off in about 60 seconds and the thing looks brand new. There's a 2-year warranty on the oven, and you can find out more information on the Alfa Oven's website if you'd like to learn more. So, who exactly is the Alfa 4 Pizze oven really designed for? Well, let's first start with price. At the time of this video, the Alfa 4 Pizze can be purchased for $3,399 for the countertop model that we have here. In order for this model to be right for you, know that it's going to cost about $3,500 to bring one home and put it on the counter. Now that being said, you need something to put it on once you get it home. The multifunctional base is a great option for this, as would be an outdoor kitchen counter or a base that you build yourself. Just know that if you're going to use the Alfa 4 Pizze underneath a roof of some type, like what we have here in our kitchen, you'll need to vent the exhaust through the roof in order to be safe. I think this oven is a perfect fit for someone who likes to entertain guests and have them gather around the fire. That's how we use it, and we've had more than 100 guests over in the last 6 months to cook with the oven themselves and be a part of creating the dinner that we'll share together. Our guests are making their own pizzas and cooking their own cookies as the fire dies down, and that's the real fun of this oven. It's a community-style oven that doesn't just need a single person to run it. We often will have Melissa working the turning peel with guests while I'm showing others how to stretch out their dough. Guests stretch their own pizzas, top their pizzas, and launch their pizzas when they're here, and that's what's so much fun about this oven. It creates community for us and our guests, and that in itself is priceless. So if you'd like to learn more about the Alfa 4 Pizze, check out the link below to check the current price and to find out more information. We keep an eye on the prices of the outdoor cooking world, and our link will take you to the lowest price that we're aware of for this unit. When we hear about a sale, we'll update our link to make sure that you're getting the lowest price that we know of, and if you decide to make a purchase, you will support our channel as well at no additional cost to you. For those of you who click our link, you're helping us keep the videos coming just like this one, and we say thanks so much for your support. It just means the world to us, and our whole family says thanks. Now, if outdoor cooking is your thing, please consider subscribing to our channel right here on YouTube. We release 2 to 3 videos per week with the best in outdoor cooking reviews, recipes, and techniques to help you become the best educated chef on the block. We'd love to have you join us, so hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you'll be notified anytime we release a new video. Now, if you're on social media, we'd love to have you join us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and the other social channels where we show you behind the scenes of what's happening at the lab, and we're able to get a little bit more personal there as well. So we look forward to meeting you and interacting with you on those channels. I'm David Gafford, and I want to say thank you for joining us today on the Barbecue Lab. There's some great content coming up that you're not going to want to miss. So hit that subscribe button, and I can't wait to see you next time.